Sultan Ali, thank you very much for joining me from California. Is that where you are at the moment?
Definitely California. No, not California. California.
Sca-
Scalam.
it's California. Excellent. um,
California.
Sultan Ali, music is your family business, and it has been since you were a child. You grew up in a record store. You worked on the sound system. You've worked in every aspect of the music business in Jamaica, coming from the root up. Was it hard work?
When you love what you do, it's not hard work. They say the key in life is to do what you want and get paid, what you love and get paid by doing it. So the sperm that made me, my father was a musical sperm. The sperm that met my mother's egg, they started to dance and everything. And thus came Danny Campbell, Danny Buster, Sultan Ali, son of Prince Buster. It wasn't hard work. I loved it. That's why I put food in my mouth, sell the records, press the record, promote the records, the jukebox, the whole 9 yards. Sending stampers to his manager in Blue Beat in Buckinghamshire back in the 60s and everything. Picking up the matter of fact, picking up the bottles at the dances, my father's when he had his dance, picking up the bottle, the empty bottle so he could recycle it at the end of the week and everything.
And what was your favorite part of all
I
that
love,
different work
I
that you
love
did
listen,
growing up?
listen, listen, I love all of it because they say a part is equal to the sum total. That's natural law. So it's all that what I went through made me to be the Sultan Ali that I am, Danny Buster. So I have no regrets. It's all good. The glass is always half full. I'm a very
And
optimistic person.
one of the things that you do, it's the Sultan of Ska and Danny Buster, that legacy that you inherited from your father. One of the things that you have to do is not just the performing of that music and writing your own music, but the protecting of that legacy. Because one of the things I've heard you talk about is people who try to steal that legacy away from you, who try and take some of that stuff away from you.
Well, definitely so. Whenever you become a legend like my father, a self-made legend coming from nothing, humble beginnings to make a world impact, to give Jamaica sound and a music when they had no music. Everybody was trying to be like rhythm and blues, jazz, trying to copy America. Buster decided to go natural Jamaican music, and they call it Buster Boop Boop Beat. That was like a derogatory sense of word they used, but really was calling ska music. And ska music became the national music because at that time my father didn't have the what we said the luxury of having a visa and monetary accessibility to go to the States to buy these rare rhythm and blues record and return to Jamaica, mark it up 600% and everything. So you had to create something. And he said, necessity is the mother of invention. And there are people out there who wasn't around in the humble beginning days, because I'm coming from the one room days, the humble, struggling days. It's not that I grew up and said, oh, I want Prince Buster to be my father. It was not like that. We grew up in the humble beginnings, okay, Western Kingston. I'm from Rose Lane. My father was born in Orange Street. That's what they call the Beach Street. It's just like four blocks over my mother came from. Okay, and we said everything from day one. And there's no way people Johnny come lately because as I said, my father's Prince Boss. I want to be no, it wasn't about the money thing because nobody had no money. My father had goals and aspiration, and we all work collectively as a family. That's why he wrote the song in 1963, a record called Danny, Dane, and Lorraine. You should play that song. I am formerly Donald Campbell. From 1963, my name has been immortalized in the Jamaica music business. And I might add, we are the first royal family of ska, bar none. And we intend to protect our legacy and our heritage.
And when you hear bands like Madness who have taken Prince Buster songs and who have made them into their own and have made a lot of money from them, is that something that helps the legacy, or do you think that maybe they've taken a little bit from that legacy?
Well, I tell you what, music is an international language, and I'm happy that my father's music was so impressive and so infectious, rhythmic that it could influence some people across the pond. But either way, however, there's a balance of respect, and they say, to whom much is given, much is required. For example, I've been getting calls, in particular, the latter part of last year, about the 40th anniversary with Madness. People call me, a matter of fact, I was at Scam Out 2017 when I was invited by Neville Staples and Christine Staples to play a Scam Out back in Portsmouth and everything. Wonderful, fantastic show and everything. I met all my father's fans. They cried, they touched me, they kissed my hand. They said, thank you for keeping the legacy going. Your father's not dead. When I see you on the stage, I see your father and everything. So it was great. But at least they said, Sultan Danny Buster, on the 40th anniversary, you should be one of the main cats with madness because of what your father did for them. Those are people words to me. Those are not my words. And let me quote it. Because madness became famous to your dad, you should have been invited to the 40th anniversary of the two-tone. I was never invited, so I don't know what's really happening. Okay? I've never met Suggs nor Lee Thompson personally, but I know of them. And I know by now they must know of me that I'm carrying my father's legacy. So we see what happens in the future.
Yeah, fingers crossed. One of the things that is evident in your work, it's not just your father's music that you play. You write your own music and you perform your own music as well. One song that comes to mind is "Beautiful Angel." Is it important to you that when you're playing gigs that you have your own material in there with material
Let
from
me
your father as well?
highlight this. That's it right here.
There you
Beautiful
go.
Angel on the World
Brilliant.
Buster label. Okay? On original
Excellent.
composition.
Nice one. And is
Yeah.
that important to you that you have your own compositions in there with your father's music as well?
Definitely so, because there's a whole bunch of music coming out now. We've got goo gobs of music, a lot of real-to-real recording, Ampex and ACP and everything. We're just going through some legal battles right now. But like I said, there's a lot of vampires trying to get their hands on the estate. And I am the heir to the estate. That business belongs to me. My father's here. If you notice, back in 2000, my father came to Los Angeles, came to California. He was performing on the Epiphany World Stage up there in Northern California. And you should see that video. Look at that video. He said to the world, now my father got several children, and I'm the only son that he declared to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, my son, Sultan Ali. And if it behooves me, I think might want to play that so the audience can see what he said. Sultan Ali, my son, Sultan Ali, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So I have been endorsed. And there's a song alone from 1963 tells you, Danny, Dane, and Lorraine. And we are here to defend our legacy.
And
Straight up.
who are the legal wranglings with, Sultan? Who?
But there's this woman that claimed that she's married to my father, who came and interrupted the family. When she met him, my father was married, children. We were running a family business and everything. And all of a sudden she worked her way in, and my father's dead, and they're trying to claim access to the whole thing. And we were the one who cleared the jukebox, did everything, pressed the record. You trust me. We were like young entrepreneurs, because my father would say, watch a Chinaman. We were up and down the beach street, pressing the records, selling records, and they wasn't around. Like I said, don't become my father became famous. When I know about my father, it wasn't about no money, because there wasn't no money. He was just my father, and we worked like a family collectively to build this empire. So there's no way no Johnny come lately gonna step in.
And you talk about having an endorsement, another endorsement besides that one from your father, which is obviously the most important one. The work that you do with Lester Sterling and with Charlie Organ-Air, that's an
Oh
endorsement as well,
man,
isn't it? When you
hold on,
work with two
hold on.
legends,
You've been doing your homework.
you have to do some homework.
But look at this picture right here. Look at this picture right here. This is the picture right here, if you can see that, at my father's office, 127 Orange Street. Myself, I was about 10, 11 years old with Big U and my father on the Chicharon album. That's 1970. Okay?
Yeah.
Lester Sterling, I consider him to be Jamaica's Charlie Parker. We toured together. I performed with the Scatterlights. Santa Monica Pier, destroyed the audience. When I came on the stage, the place went ballistic. I came after Hugh Roy. I came after Doreen Schaefer and everything. And subsequent after me, Sly and Robbie and Michael was just coming up. But when we finished the show in Santa Monica Pier, the audience cried for an encore, but time was against us. Scam music is the music.
And
Scam music is the music.
can you tell me a bit about Charlie Organ-Air? Because another legend from the music of Jamaica, but not a name that might be as familiar to people as Lester Sterling is.
Let me tell you something. The work is there. Charlie Organ-Air and Lester is like family. Those two musicians were the mainstay of the Prince Busters All-Star. And I might add that song that way about Danny Dane and Lorraine. If you listen to the solo, okay, that was Charlie Organier and Lester Sterling. I got video footage clips from New York when I performed live with them at the JPAC, okay? When I had Lester Sterling on stage and Charlie Organier. The only difference I did for my father, I flipped it around. I gave Lester the first solo and let Charlie concluded with his harmonica, and the place went ballistic, singing Danny Dale and Lorraine.
Excellent. And I've seen footage, not just from New York and gigs that you do in Jamaica, but you've traveled to Hong Kong as well. How was that? How was the reception in Hong Kong?
Oh, you start giving me goosebumps. That was the first time I performed for 30,000 people. It was a 3-day show. It was called the Clock and Flop Music and Art Festival 2014, Hong Kong, place called West Kowloon. I was there for a week. And I put that band together and rehearsed that band. And when it was showtime, I'm telling you, they had nothing on me. It was all blown away. 30,000 people.
That's a big crowd.
When I came off the stage, the bass player that invited me, I told him, I'm humble, to God be the glory. I told him thanks. He said, Sultan, don't thank me. I'm going to thank you for coming to Hong Kong. And he went down on his right knees and took my right hand and kissed it. And ever since then, the Red Stripe has become international celebrity. They've been on all the big shows. They finished their second album. They came on the big stage. They're on the radio. They're all over. That's like the same thing my dad did for Madness. I did for the Red Stripe.
Excellent. And not just Hong Kong then as well. A good reception for what you do for the Sultan of Ska in Mexico too.
Oh, you did some homework. Listen, I was invited by Jose Olan. He plays a lot with Buster Blood Vessel from Bad Manners. He came to Los Angeles. He called me up. We went to the club. We met and everything. Took back pictures backstage and everything. Because, Buster Blood Vessel named himself after my father, Prince Buster. You know that. Big influence. So he saw what I was doing. He liked it. He said, listen, I'd love for you to come to Mexico. So he invited me to do a couple of songs and everything. And I went there. It was like, wow. It was like a big theater. It's called the Teatro Metropolitano. It was in Mexico City. Independencia Calle. They're called Independence Street. I was there for about 4 to 5 days. And man, that place went wild. If you saw that video, on a 30-piece orchestra with strings. Oh man, I was in seventh heaven. Trust me, that somebody wrote to me last week and said, Sultan, you're a superstar. I don't give myself credit. I let the people speak. I just quote them. They said that was a superstar performance. What do you think?
Yeah, you'd have to believe him. That's what can't speak, can't lie.
Now I'm saying, what do you think? You saw the video.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Looked amazing. Massive stage, huge crowd, and you gave a performance that was on par with anything that you'd see anywhere. And the string section, it must have been, as you say, a dream come true. Looked fantastic.
There's about
and
4,000 to 5,000 people upstairs balcony. It was my first time in Mexico City, and I enjoyed it.
And I think you were buzzing on it. You were covering that stage, man. You were getting from side to side on that stage.
But this is what happened. I'm from the old school. You see, I grew up, Michael Jackson and I are the same generation. I grew up watching the greats. I'm from the old school. Every Sunday, my father played all the great songs. I heard them. Sam Cooke, you name Wilson Pickett, James Brown, Little Richard. I grew up on all those, and I respect and model myself after those great. The thing that's lacking right now, you don't get your performance. Like always, like Sam Cooke, I call him the teacher. Sam Cooke, much kudos. Sammy Davis Jr., all the greats. I respect them. I learn from all of them. I love all of them, and I incorporate them in my Jamaican kind of style with the fusion and everything. But listen this, we're in an economical hard time right now. We're in a time of uncertainty, okay? We cannot perform and everything. But even before that, life is a struggle. And when someone take money from their livelihood to pay their rent, their gas bill, send their children to school, buy food, and compromise to come see you and pay $50 or more, 35 just to come see you, you owe them something. You see, I take that very serious because I'm a customer service. I grew up in a record business, dealing with people, all different social, economical platform and everything. And when somebody sacrifices money that they don't have to come and see you, you owe them something. And you never get bigger than your audience. That's why every time I hit the stage, I'm from the old school, I keep it real. There's no ego here. Without the audience, I am nothing. Sam Cooke say, you never get bigger than your audience. And anytime you're bigger than the audience, it's time to quit. So whenever I hit the stage, I'm here to deliver because they don't have to come and see me. They sacrifice their rent, the mortgage to see me. And I owe them and I thank them.
And what do you think it is, Sultan, about ska music that translates into so many different places around the world and that has opened doors to you to travel to Mexico, to travel to Hong Kong, to travel to the UK, and hopefully in the future to travel to Ireland as well? What do you think it is about ska music that does that to people, that crosses all those borders and transcends language?
In quoting my father always said this because they call it Buster Boot Boot Beat. Like I said, my father didn't have the money and the visa to go buy the rhythm and blues. So necessity is the mother of invention. Let me make that clear and everything. But when you grew up in the struggles in Western Kingston, feeling the pulse of the people, knowing the socio-economical hardship, the political hardship, the deprivation, the exploitation, the music reflects the attitude, the lifestyle of the people, crying out. It's like somebody, my father was like the man, the voice. My father's sound system was called Prince Buster, the first voice of the people. He was like the John the Baptist crying out to this for the poor people. Himself was also poor. My father called him the donkey people and everything. Because you got to have a voice, you got to have some kind of advocacy, and Prince Buster was that kind of advocacy. And the music is so real and so touching that anybody who hears the ska music is going to move them. Let me give you a case in point. In 1995, I attended UCLA studying contract laws at UCLA, University of California. And I was told to go on a movie set back in 95 in Glendale. I didn't know who was starring that movie, but after lunch break, I was walking around, going to the canteen to get me something to eat and everything. I bumped into a man called, you might know him too, you're supposed to know him, very legendary man, Mr. Harry Belafonte. That was 95 in Glendale, I was on a movie set. And as I got closer to Mr. Belafonte, he became very recognizable. And I walked over to him and I introduced myself and I told him who I was. And we struck up a conversation. He was in a director's chair and everything, reading the script. And he said something to me that I'll never forget. And I'm going to quote him now, as per Mr. Harry Belafonte. He told me from his mouth to my ears, and I quote Mr. Belafonte right now, ska music is the best music that ever came out of Jamaica. End of quote, as per Mr. Harry Belafonte. Now, those verbiage coming from a man from that stature, the man who is single-handedly responsible for the Grammy Awards. People don't understand that. Harry Belafonte was on RCA record, just like my father and Elvis Presley. He was the first man in the music business in America to sell 1 million units. And they were about to give him an award, celebrating his 1 million units sold and everything. That was the precursor to the Grammys. Did you know that?
I did not know that. No, thanks
And
for
as a
sharing
result
that.
of him selling those units before all the rest of the stars, you can name them Paul Anka, you name them Andy Williams, even Frank Sinatra. And as a result of that, that was the catalyst that sparked them to come up with this Grammy Awards. As a result of the units sold by Mr. Belafonte, the song called the Banana Song. There, me said, hey, ho, daylight come and me want go home. See? So those words to my ears from Mr. Belafonte meant a lot to me. And all them people who's been collecting Grammys and everything, they owe a debt of gratitude to Mr. Belafonte. And if he said that about ska music, which is my birth, Genesis music, what else can I say? Another case in point. I was at the House of Blues in North Hollywood, watching the Scatterlights performing live. And I was on the side of the bar. I never been to California before. And the place was like tight, packed like sardine can. Everybody came out to see the Scatterlights. And I tell you, the demographics were no more than, the majority of them, like 90% of them was like 17, 16 up to 25. Young crowd. And I'm on the bar side because it was so tight. And I felt somebody just hitting me time after time. As the music hit, they hitting and jumping and dancing and hitting and jumping. And after about maybe 10, 15 minutes, I turned around to tell them to take it easy. Because I was getting other elbows and kicks, dancing. And when I looked, guess who I saw behind me? It was Paul Schaefer from the David Letterman late night show, formerly. Okay, he was the
Yep.
band leader,
Yep.
and and Hardy was saying, "Look, look, 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 look at Brevet, look at Brevet." The music blew him away. The scam music on the 2, on the 4, the on. You see what I'm saying? And look, this man is on TV 5 days a week on one of the #1 shows in America, the David Letterman late night show. And scam music blew me away. By the time they finished playing, and I walked up to the green room, Paul Schaefer, he beat me to the green room, taking pictures with the scatterlights. Need I say more? Ska is the music.
Sky is the music. Yeah, you've captured it there anyway. When you come, and hopefully you will, fingers crossed, you're going to come to Ireland at some point, are you?
Well, I spoke to your what's his name?
Owen
Evans,
Kavanagh. Yeah.
the own cabinet. He said he told me that I met him in Scamout. I met so much people in Scamout and everything. It was beautiful, beautiful reception, everything. But I'm looking forward to travel the whole Europe. I'm looking because they said my father legacy is not a joke legacy. All them bands of specials, you name the selectors. Prince Buster is the one that drove that catalyst. And I'm the embodiment of that DNA. And when they see me on stage, they know I am the biological heir to the throne son of Prince Buster. What do you think?
I think we can't wait to have you here. What can people expect from a Sultan Ali show? What should they expect to see when you do get to Ireland?
Well, I tell you what, they always ask me this question. And like I said before, I have ideas, but I know who's the best of planet. There is a universal law that I work with. There's a power higher than me. I am just a vessel, and that's the catalyst. Like when I was in Hong Kong, I couldn't tell you what I was going to do. But I know once showtime, clicking time, it's on. It's like an automatic universal power source that kicks within me that I'm on the stage. I cannot tell you, say, oh, Mark, at 2 minutes in this song, no, I don't work like that. It's a spirit, it's a vibe, it's an energy, it's a reciprocal nature from the audience and from me to the audience and back and forth. You see, it's called reciprocity. And then the universal power that's over me that guides me to do the things that I do on stage. But one thing I guarantee you, when they see Sultan, they're gonna get their money's worth.
Sultan Ali, thank you very much.
Hope to see you when I get to Ireland.
Hope to see you
And
too.
to all my fans and my father fans in Ireland, I can't wait to see you. Can't wait to give you ska music. I love you. Skalam. Peace.